Good morning to you. It is July 5th, 2025. I hope you guys had a wonderful 4th of July. You made memories with your family, your friends. And tell me a little bit, or if you decided to celebrate the holiday or not. Some people opted to not celebrate the holiday. I'm not going to share my opinions on that. I have very strong opinions on the subject, and I'm not going to touch it right now. But I wanted to do a follow up, and I'm going to name some names real quick, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. So we have the Matthews Bishop, we have Koji, we have Jives, we have Thais, we have Reed, we have McCrae, we have Caldwell, we have just all of these black leaders, right? Um, we have what's that man name that sell the weed? What is his name? The weed man. Bryant, right? So we have all of these familiar names, and more than being familiar with their names, we're familiar with their scandals. Oh, I forgot Jordan. So they're just a short running list for the point I'm about to make, and I just want you to have a point of reference. So we have these leaders. Every single one of them are black. Every single one of them preach, teach to majority African Americans, right? So that means that in some capacity, we have allowed these people into our spiritual walk. But here's the thing that a lot of people are not paying attention to about the people I've named. It is the following, that majority of the content or words you're hearing come out of these people's mouths have absolutely positively nothing to do with your soul. Most of their viewership, it's coming from mess, tea, gossip, and things of that nature. They're not coming from the position of, having a Christian lens about the affairs of this world, the affairs of the church, meaning the spiritual maturation. You notice you never hear them discuss what is the state of the black church. Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is it infected? Is it prospering? You never hear them say anything about that and what's going to happen if things don't change, or if we don't address certain things, if we don't come up with something better. They never discuss it. But I want to speak with you. And now that I've given you that piece of information, I believe in something called benchmark occurrences, things that are happen that will happen, that you can put a pin and a date to it, and then everything that happened after it and everything before it, you can compare the two. So I call that a benchmark occurrence. And that occurred in a November from Earl Carter. And I know you all are like, what in the world? Yes, Earl Carter. So, uh, first, let me preface by saying I don't agree with what happened after the Earl Carter incidents, as far as the allegations he's made and things of that nature. But I want you to pay attention to something. Andrew Caldwell was the focal point for that entire convocation. Like, it didn't matter what they preached about, what song they sang, what the theme was, how many people were healed, how many people were delivered, how many people gave their life to Christ. None of that was really, really the focal point of that convocation. Andrew Caldwell, coming to the front of the stage. I'm not gay no more. The man hands him some kind of money or whatever. I don't know what that was about, but I want you to pay attention to Earl Carter's sermon. Everyone beehived, piled on what he said pertaining to homosexuality. They just did a full on pile on, when in reality, what he was saying was the following. People who are happy in the sin of homosexuality, same gender relationships, should not be in a capacity where they're allowed to sit in the church. Number one, lead. Number two, have titles and roost about like it doesn't go against the word. It doesn't mean to accept Christ and stay the same. He was calling it out that leaders are not admonishing, speaking out about, raising a standard and making it known to these people who are homosexuals or lesbians the following: this is word. I cannot continue to enable you in sin and in iniquity, right? He was making it very clear, but people perverted that because of the way that he said it. Another milestone point that he made that everyone ignored. He was talking about the preacher in the window. You remember, he was talking about pastors and leaders being paid off by corrupt leaders to be in different pulpits. Now, if you observe last Sunday, uh Bishop Matthews and Bishop Shan Tran, I don't remember her name. They were a visualization of what Earl Carter was talking about. He, I'm telling you, number one, everything, the main points of what Carter said was personified by those two leaders, and including J Rock, right? Because he's smart enough that he's like, I'm not trying to be saved. I'm not trying to be in no leadership or that. And my daddy was in church leadership, my family in church leadership, but I'm not going in. He had that conviction, right? The same conviction that Carter was saying that these people should have, those living in sin, transgression, iniquity, whatever. So this benchmark event happened at that convocation. Now, when Carter was piled on and rejected by the compromised church, rejected because of political correctness, they have no idea that simultaneously they were giving a green light for more homosexual leaders to be prevalent. It opened the door to, we're witnessing right now, people coming up with this false doctrine. They bully people if you preach, minister against it, because that convocation, that benchmark occurrence, and what happened after it, it actually confirmed and empowered exactly what Carter were warning them about. Okay. And so now, when I named all these people, let me tell you something. All matters of evil are occurring. Okay. People are really listening for gossip, right? And I always said that people don't realize that, if you're gossiping about someone, you are prophesying for the enemy. Because if you're gossiping, you're not praying, you're not lifting them up, you're not looking at it from a spiritual lens, you are looking at it specifically from your flesh. Number two, it feeds your lust, it feeds your jealousy, it fuels your greed, right? It fuels your rebellion, it also fuels your disbelief. Now, if you listen to these content creators and others who approach situations with that lens, I have a legitimate question for you. What is your prayer life like? What is your devotional prayer life like? How much time do you invest studying the word, researching the word, appreciating the word, learning the word, applying the word in your life? What amount of time do you invest? And I want you to compare that to the number of hours or time or minutes that you invest in this other doctrinal belief, behavior, and type of content. And I want you to compare those two for yourself. And I want you to pay attention to what it has done to you spiritually. Have you become more hardened? Have you began rejecting more ethics of the faith that you weren't conscious of rejecting, conscious of ignoring? right? So I just want you to understand that benchmark sermon from Carter is the warning that he was trying to give so that you wouldn't end up that way, right? So if the church would have took a position of coming to the public and saying, what our minister taught wasn't hatred, and then turn around and break it down precept by precept, line by line in love, you had an opportunity to minister to the masses. And they didn't choose that. They chose to fall for the trick of the enemy, which was calling it hate speech. But that goes back to this new manipulation that is so prevalent in the land, and it is the catalyst for cancel culture. They don't pay attention to what was said, the context of what was said, the truth of what was said. They pay attention to it was said. They look at the emotions they felt, if they felt anything, and that's what they harp on. And this is the great deception of the enemy he's using right now. It's like, well, I felt like you were attacking me, or I felt like it was hate speech. It made me feel like I never want to go to church again. It made me feel like, and let me tell you something, that is 100% a dangerous thing, because what someone else says, what someone else does, we cannot control your emotions. We cannot control and manage the emotions of millions of people. We can't. We can't. Okay? And it's a tricky slope, because if you listen to what is said, they will use a lot of verbiage that are associated with emotions, not the word, not the truth, and not it's just emotionalism. It's manipulation, right? When people manipulate you, they are going after making you feel a specific way. They're not going after you knowing anything but the things that will allow you to be manipulated further. Okay. So we're looking at a church and leadership in a belief system. Yeah, you allow someone who get into tarot and horoscope to stand in front of you, even though the word explicitly speaks against this. Walked into a place that you actually believe that's okay. You have been spiritually manipulated, and you are spiritually being killed slowly. It's after your soul, it's after your walk, it's after your salvation. It wants you to rebel, because the spirit is not of God, it's not the Holy Spirit. Nothing about the Holy Spirit would turn you away from the faith, or turn you away from Christ, or turn you away from God. And believers are not paying attention that after that benchmark sermon, it is prevalent, it is common for people to operate in everything that he warned against, this pyramid scheme. Right, you have all this filthy lucre, you have all of this greed, you have a man literally preaching, and he a weed man, right? You and people accept that. Believers get behind that. And so, in all of this, I just wanted to highlight this morning that you all are not paying attention. Another visual example we had, it was actually Andrew Caldwell. It was actually Andrew Caldwell and the bishop that handed him the money. So the currency of money in the exchange of money means so much. He paid him essentially for his testimony. He didn't come down there and hug him and embrace him or pray with him. He didn't do that, right? He handed him some money. There was an exchange. Why was something so profound that supposed had been a moment of deliverance? It's supposed to have been a moment of a person throwing themselves at the altar. It's supposed to have been a moment when a person are now shifting their relationship with Christ. Why would you hand them money in that moment? Right. So in that moment, he should have been ministered to, not paid off. Basically, paying him to go sit down, stop what you're doing, go away, but instead all of these air quotation men of God, these ushers or deacons, whatever they were, they stood in a line and they just watched him stand there and shout, do the dance, that they do. And so I don't think people realize that God will permit things to happen in order for you to see what's really happening. What are the chances and odds of um Carter talking about people being paid in money, and that's why they allow this dirt and filth to go around, right? And then shortly thereafter, the man is paying, the man gives Andrew Caldwell some money, right? And then you look up, and it's the year of Lord 2025, and now Andrew Caldwell is an ordained minister because the system that Carter was warning about, it's alive and well. That's how he's able to advance. That type of network goes beyond just the four walls of the church. It goes into politics. It goes into the social scene, who you know, who you're allowed to be around, who your friends are, who are close to you. It impacts all of that because one nod or one wink from somebody at a higher leadership than you, right? Especially a pastor or a bishop who's on the general board. You know what I'm saying? That weighs heavy just as much as the money, right? It's the relationships, the proximity that's being exploited. And it's a compromise, it's a breach, right? So you have people who are really saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit. They actually called to ministry, they study the word, they're faithful in their walk, they're not compromising in their walk, they're not yielding in their walk, and no one knows anything about them because they don't know the right people or they don't have the right money. So the currency of money, it's really how they decide if you're worthy of this, that, and the other. So you need to know God enough to make you some big money and have some big money, or we're not paying attention to you because you have to buy into this. You see that? You have to buy into it. And so people on social media, they're also buying into it. Every view, every click, every super chat, every cash app, you're sowing into that kingdom. You are sowing into, and you have to understand that your very soul, your spirit, and your walk are bearing witness to your error and your soul and you compromising the faith. It's going to bear the fruit of it. Now, the thing is, people will complain about Trump, all the bills that he's passing, how it impact them. They're not doing as good. I bet you everything that I know that they will not take into consideration that you are suffering because you have been compromised. You're in a place of rebellion. You're lukewarm. Okay, you saying Lord, Lord with your mouth, but you're not checking and paying attention to your own heart, your decisions, your countenance, right, your behavior. So you expect to prosper in the land, even though you're literally lukewarm, and some of you are ice cold. No question about it. None. How is it that you and a non-believer are believing the same things? That should tell you something. But it doesn't, because your ears are full of wax and your eyes are just as crusty as waking up after a 50-year slumber, honey. You cannot see and you cannot hear, and you're not discerning. But I just wanted to call it to your attention. Now, I can't wait to read y'all comments. I am uh chillaxing this morning. It's Sunday. I would not be running out of here because I'm exhausted after yesterday. And so I will speak with you soon. I can't wait to read your comments. They are always very interesting to me. Can't wait to see you here. Take care. Bye.